We want to take this opportunity to thank you for viewing this video presentation, which should last approximately 20 minutes. This presentation is designed to help EMS agency staff members understand how to navigate the online VAv3 application. Now, let's take a look at the actual application, starting with how to log in. Double-click the VAv3 Online Sign-In icon or use the VAv3 Online Sign-In bookmark to get the sign-in screen to come up. If these are not available, please check with your VAv3 administrator to see when this is going to be set up or how you're going to access VAv3. If prompted when logging in, enter in Virginia in the Organization ID field. If Virginia has been included in the web address like this, then the organization field will not appear. Now enter in the username and password provided to you by your VAv3 administrator. Once the login information has been entered in, click the Sign In button to log into the system like this. When you log in with your personal information the first time, you will be prompted to change your password. As shown on this screen, you will need to enter in your temporary password once and your new password twice. In this information box, you can see the password requirements that are currently in place. As it states, passwords need to be at least 5 characters long, contain a number, an uppercase letter, and a special character such as an asterisk or % symbol. Passwords also cannot match any of the last 10 passwords created for this account and cannot match the username. When the release form or privacy statement comes up, it also displays your current EMS license expiration date. This is included for informational purposes. We'll select Yes to continue to the application. Now you're looking at the home screen. If you have any issues accessing your account, your VAv3 administrator must be your first point of contact. Those individuals have the responsibility for general account maintenance within your agency. To return to the screen from any point within this application, except when viewing the Run form, click on the image trend logo shown here in the upper left corner of the window. Now, let's look at the choices available under each menu option. When we click on the agency name, the menu expands to show the choices available to the user. When we click the agency name again, the menu window closes. The other menu options, such as Incidents, Resources, and the others, function in the same way. Please be aware that the security permissions assigned to your account by the VAv3 administrator will determine what menu options you have. For this presentation, we are viewing the general permissions assigned to the EMS agency staff group. Looking at the options under the agency name, in the area under Recently Viewed Agencies, there are 2 choices. The first one will list any agencies that you have recently been logged into. The second choice is to select any other agency that your account is associated with. If you select the recently viewed agency, your access is automatically switched to that agency. Note that the name shown now reflects the other agency. Just repeat the process to switch back or to switch to another agency. If your account is associated with additional agencies not shown, simply select View More Agencies. From the Agency Selector window, just select whichever agency you need to work in, and the application will switch to the one chosen. In regards to the association of accounts, it is important to note the following. The section for recently viewed agencies will only appear if your account is associated with more than one agency. The association of accounts must be done by system administrators at the Office of EMS. Users will no longer need separate accounts in order for OEMS to perform the association. Due to this, users will no longer be able to request that their accounts be associated with various agencies. The association request must come from a VAv3 administrator of the requesting agency. Just have the VAv3 administrator contact the Office of EMS and request that your account be associated with their agency. They will need to provide the Office of EMS with your existing VAv3 account ID and your certification number for verification purposes. The next option is Information. This information, available to you in read-only format, is where detailed information about your agency is stored. The Details tab contains all of the pertinent information for an agency. Some of these are state ID number, billing status, primary type of service, and level of service, just to name a few. For those agencies that bill for services, your National Provider Identifier or NPI number is also available here for reference. The next tab is the Service Area tab. This area contains all of the counties, zip codes, and census tract information that your agency services. To view what has been set up by the VAv3 administrator, click on Virginia. In the boxes shown on the right, you can see the information that has been entered for your agency by scrolling through the information. Even though it appears that you can update this information by clicking on the arrow buttons, the Save option is not available to you, so no changes that you make can be saved. Statistical year info is something else that you can view. Just select the year in question and the following screen comes up. Once you are done viewing any of this information, you can select the Back button to go back to the Information tab, or you can select the Image Trend logo, which is what I'm going to do, to go back to the home screen. For this video presentation, we're going to do a brief overview of how to look at existing incidents that have been previously entered into VAv3. Here we will select EMS under View Existing. This screen will give you a list of EMS incidents that you have previously entered into the system. As with version 2, you typically can only view your own incidents. To select one of these records to view, simply double-click on the line to retrieve the information. If you are using a computer that has touchscreen capabilities, then you can tap on this arrow to accomplish the same task. You can use this button to go to the next page of incidents and this button to go back to the previous page. Using these fields will allow you to narrow the list of incidents by the unit notified date range. For example, using my keyboard, I'll enter in a date range of 03-15-2015 to 03-15-2015, and this will narrow the list to just incidents that occurred within that date range. I could have just as easily entered in a longer date range if that is what I needed. You can also see that there are some additional options available within these date fields. Selecting this X will clear the date. Selecting either of these arrows will move the selected field either higher or lower. Selecting this down arrow will give you a calendar view that you can use to select the date. If you select the down arrow next to the month and year, you can select a different month within the year shown, or you can scroll up or down to select a different year. Finally, these two arrow buttons allow you to move between months, and if you select this button, the current date is filled in. I'll clear the dates so that all of the runs entered will show up on the screen again. Now I'll show you a different view of this screen. Notice that I can click on the column headings and sort the list. To change the sort order, click the same column header again. You can tell by this arrow if the information is sorted either ascending or descending. For those of you that have larger resolutions or smaller screens, your view of this can look different. To illustrate, I'll change the zoom on my browser to 110%. Notice how the look of the screen changes. Even though I no longer have column headings, I can still use the Order By drop-down list to choose what information I want to sort on. Smaller screens such as Toughbooks will typically always show this view of the incident screen. However, as I demonstrated here, you can manually adjust how this screen looks by changing the zoom on your browser window. So if your computer defaults this screen one way and you prefer the other, simply adjust the zoom in your browser higher or lower. The choice is yours to make. To date, this is the only screen available in VAv3 that has this functionality. This symbol indicates that a record is locked. If you do not have access to unlock a record and find that changes are needed, check with your VAv3 administrator to see what your agency's policy is regarding these types of changes. Now I'll reset my view back to 90%. There is one additional feature that I want to show you. You have the ability to change the columns that are displayed here. To illustrate, we'll select More and choose Select Columns. The darker items show the columns that are currently displayed, and the lighter items are the additional items that can be displayed. If I want to remove something, I can click on any of these X's and the item will be removed. If I want to add one of these other items, such as patient initials, I can click on that item and it moves into the upper box. Now I'll click OK and you can see that it has been added as the last column. You can also move columns to a different location. For example, notice that incident number is currently displayed here, but you decide that you would prefer to have it be the first column. All that you need to do is go back to Select Columns under More and move it to the first position. Once you click OK, you can see that incident number has been moved. All of the columns can be moved, added, or removed in this manner. Keep one thing in mind. If you add a lot more columns to this screen, then your display may change to the other layout that we saw earlier when I changed the browser zoom to 110%. Any changes that you make here only affect your view of this screen. It will not affect other users. For additional information on the actual run form, please see the companion video, Virginia EMR Overview. Under Resources, there are several options that users with EMS agency staff level access can view. Let's go through these one at a time. First, we have the Agency Locations option. This is where you can view individual agency information such as address and phone number. Simply click on the location like this and the information screen comes up. Notice the filter option here. Currently it is set to show only active locations. If I click on this X, it clears the filter and will display both active and inactive locations, should you have any inactive ones. To add the filter back, click on this option and choose whichever option you're trying to narrow your search by. It is important to note that when you set these filters, they go back to their default settings when you close out of the screen. In other words, if you clear the active filter and close this screen, when you come back into this screen, the active filter will be applied again. Anytime you see these options at the top of any screen, they all function the same way. The order column shows the order in which the agency locations will be shown on the run form. Even though it appears that you can make changes to this, the Save option is not available to users with EMS agency staff level access, so any changes you attempt to make here cannot be saved. Now, let's check out the Facilities option. This shows a listing of all facilities that have been entered into VAv3. As a user with EMS agency staff level access, you can view the information that has been set up. Since the filter defaults to active, you can also view any facilities that your VAv3 administrator has set to inactive by clearing this filter or changing the filter as we demonstrated earlier. The inactive function was added so that the list of facilities you see on the run form are ones that your agency transports to. If this were not done, then you would be forced to scroll or search through all of the available facilities in the state every time when filling out a run form. To see any information about a facility, just select it and the information screen will come up. Click on the back button to return to the list of facilities. The order column shows the order in which the facilities will be shown on the run form. As with agency locations, no changes made to the order column can be saved by users with EMS agency staff level access. The next option is Leave of Absence Reasons. Here you can view the various leave of absence reasons set up by the VAv3 administrator. You can use this field to search on specific information. As noted here, the description is the searchable item. For example, I'll type in VAC and you can see that the screen displays the vacation leave of absence reason. Almost all of the other screens we have seen and are going to review have this functionality. The only difference will be the searchable item. Where this one was noted as descriptions, others may be name or address or code, just to name a few. It just depends on which screen is being displayed. Each field will list what can be used to search on, just as this one does. The next option is Medical Devices. The Medical Devices option allows you to view any medical devices that have been set up for your agency should your VAv3 administrator choose to do so. It is important to note that this information is strictly for inventory purposes only. Under Signatures, the same information that was set up in version 2 under Run Forms, EMS Form Resources can be found. Here you can see the default signatures that have been created. To view the information that has been entered under each signature, simply select or double-click it. Please note these symbols. They are called information bubbles. When you hover over them with the mouse like this, they display additional information about the item you are viewing. Simply move the mouse away from the symbol and the additional information will disappear. Anytime you see one of these symbols, it will work in this way. To return to the list of signatures, click on the back button. Under More, you can view the default language that has been set up for VAv3. Click on More again and choose Signature Paragraphs to go back to the list of signatures. Now, let's look at Vehicles and Call Signs. The Vehicles and Call Signs screen allow you to view the information that has been set up for those items. To view the vehicle information, just click on the ID like this and you can see the information that the VAv3 administrator has set up. Click on the back button to return to the list. Notice that the name shown here is labeled Vehicles. To view the call signs, click on this button to change the view from Vehicles to Call Signs. Now notice that the name shown is labeled Call Signs. Even though the buttons were both labeled with the words Edit, you only have the ability to view these. If you select or double-click one of the call signs, you will be unable to save any changes. If you happen to select one of the call signs in error, we recommend clicking on the Image Trend logo to return to the home page. The final option under Resources is Zones and Districts. This is used to divide the agency's coverage area into zones and assign target response times to each one. The information gathered can be used to determine if your agency is achieving those goals. If your agency decides to set those up, you can view that information here. Currently, users with EMS agency staff level access do not have any security options listed within the Tools menu. Should this change in the future, this video will be updated. The last menu option to look at is Community. This is where you can access general information on the application. The first item we have here is labeled Blog. If you have ever used a blog before, then you are familiar with what this is. For those of you that are not, It's basically an online way to share ideas and comment on items. The blog is pretty new and not a lot of people are currently using it. If you're interested, you will need to contact ImageTrend directly in order to obtain a username and password. Help University is the online help system. The one for version 3 is much more user-friendly than the previous one. Here we have the contents. The next tab is used to search on specific words. The last tab is a glossary of terms. In the top search, you have the option to search on words or phrases, and you can narrow your search down by these choices. When you see screen inserts in the help section, just click on those to enlarge it. Click on it again to reduce it. Looking at this note option, click on the down arrow to open up the note. Click it again to close it. Anytime you see a line with a down arrow icon, this indicates that there is additional information available. There is something else here that I want to bring to your attention. In the search box, I am going to type in release. Now I am going to select the release from October. Notice this selection labeled Watch the Movie. ImageTrend has started releasing videos that discuss the changes for software updates. While not all of these may apply to you, this is a good resource to check when a software update has been released. FAQ, or Frequently Asked Questions, is another resource available under Community. Since this application is still very new, the current FAQs are more related to NEMSIS and the first stages of this new application. As time goes on, ImageTrend will be adding more information here. User voice can be used to request enhancements to the application. Once everything has settled down on this implementation, perhaps you'll notice something that you wish the system did. You can use user voice to make that recommendation directly to ImageTrend. Keep in mind that when you put in this type of request, it's best to include exact details on what you want the application to do and what the benefit will be when this functionality has been added. The last option here is Support Suite. This option creates tickets directly to ImageTrend. As a note, all users of VAv3 should still direct any support issues to the Office of EMS. The only option under Name is Log Out. If you click on this option, you will be logged out of the application. If you do choose to simply close the browser, this will also log you out of the application. Well, that brings us to the end of this video presentation. As more features are added, we'll send out additional videos that go over the new functionality, as well as adding information to this presentation. When that occurs, we'll send out notifications. Even though your VAv3 administrator should always be the primary point of contact, please feel free to contact us using the information shown should you need any assistance with VAv3. Thanks for taking the time to view this video, and we hope you have a pleasant day.